Are you still creating basting stitches just to get your gathers and your shirts? These are all you need. Yes, you have the varieties for industrial, domestic and vintage sewing machine. Okay, now this is P50. This is an industrial sewing machine foot for gathering. This groove right under it aids it to make gathers that you need. Now this is another industrial sewing machine foot, P5. This does two things. It gathers and attaches the gather to your skirt or your dress or whatever project you're creating. That's the essence of that groove in the front. Now, if you're talking about domestic sewing machines, vintage sewing machines, this foot is for you. Okay, it does two things for you also. It gathers and attaches the gather to your project. Now, why are you stressing yourself? Why don't you invest in these presser foots? Now, if this interests you, why not subscribe and let me show you how to use them on your sewing machine. Hey lovelies, this is Annie with Annie Marie. If you're new here, you're welcome. Do what? Subscribe to our channel. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. Now, this is a low shank presser foot, okay? It's a low shank sharing or gathering presser foot. It does two things, okay? It can gather your fabric and it can also attach the gathers to the rest of your project. Okay, this opening, this slit you're seeing here in front of this presser foot is where the fabric that you don't want to gather will pass through. Okay, it will come out right from this back. All right, and the parts that you want to gather will be right under it, between this presser foot and your feed dog. Okay, it is for low shank sewing machine. In order to attach this presser foot, we need to completely remove our low shank adapter and our presser foot from the machine. Okay, you don't have to attach it to the snap-on adapter. Now we're going to use this screwdriver to remove the presser foot that is right on here and attach our gathering foot. All I have to do is to raise my presser foot and I will use this screw to turn it. Now the good thing is, once I turn it once, the presser foot just comes out. Okay, I can loosen the knot the rest of the way with my hands. All right, and there it goes. Now both the adapter, that is the low shank adapter that comes with your machine, and the presser foot will need to go. Yes, because this gathering foot connects or attaches itself directly to the bar that holds onto the presser foot. Now all I have to do is to get my sharing or gathering foot and simply attach it to that bar you're seeing right there with that opening. Okay, our knot is going to go right through that opening and attach our foot. So I'm going to be using one hand to hold onto the presser foot and I'll use another hand to attach the knot. Now keep that knot safe because we need it to use this presser foot. Okay, so holding it with one hand, I'll use this hand now to screw in the knot. Okay, I will screw it up to some extent and then I will use our screwdriver to complete the rest of the task because it needs to be tight. Okay, you really need to tighten it up well so that by the time you start using it, it's not going to fall off, break your needle or cause some damages to your feed dog. Now we have successfully attached our presser foot. Now what you have to do now is to make sure that your thread goes through that opening where your needle goes through. It's very important. All right, okay, just pass it right under there and you are good to go. Using your hand wheel, make sure your needle passes through the opening in the presser foot. This step is very important. Please don't skip it. Okay, just turn it towards you. Make sure that the needle goes right through the presser foot to avoid accidents. Now turn on the machine. All right, and start setting up your stitch length and stitch width. Let me turn the view to the machine so that you see what I'm talking about. Now my machine is a computerized sewing machine and I can see the display properly. I'm going to be choosing my stitch length and my stitch width accordingly. Now this dial here is for tension. All right, you need to tighten your tension. All right, if you are sewing gathering stitches. Now I'm going to increase my tension to 8 or 9. All right, but I might keep it at 9 or keep it at 8. All right, now it's up to you, but make sure that your tension is that high. okay, so that it will create the shares, it will create the gathers. Now, after setting the tension, the next thing is to take care of the stitch length and the stitch width, okay? And now for the stitch length, I'm going to make it as long as possible, because the longer the stitch length, the more beautiful it gathers, okay? The gathers are going to be more ruffle looking, all right? So I'm going to make it 5, and then of course I'm not going to touch the stitch width because we're not sewing zigzag stitches. Now I'm going to grab our fabric. It's a dull satin fabric, and I'm going to be using it to test out our gathering foot, okay? So I'm going to place it right under the presser foot, and we're good to go. Now I'm going to take down my presser foot and make sure that my needle goes into the presser foot, okay? So I'm going to press on the needle down button, and the needle is now in the fabric. It's actually a good practice to start sewing with the needle in the fabric. I can adjust my speed or just leave it at 0, and here we go. Let's see if it's going to gather as much as we believe it's going to, right? But it's actually gathering, and the shares are looking beautiful. Okay, so we're going to try to change the tension. You can see it's really gathered, okay? After sewing with this tension, we're going to check another tension. Let's just say 6, 7 or 8, okay, and see how it gathers. Let's make it 7, okay, and let's sew it on to see how it gathers. But believe me, it's not going to gather as much as the higher tension. The lower the tension, the scantier the gathers. It depends on your project. It depends on what you want to achieve, okay? So after this, I'm going to try 5. But I use 4 as my tension for sewing, so I don't think 5 is going to make any much difference, but let's just try it, all right? Here we go. You can see it is not really making any much difference, so this is it. So let's bring it out and see how it looks. Believe me, you don't need to use basting stitches, okay? Gathering foot makes life easy. It makes stitching, it makes sewing faster, easier, more convenient, so why don't you get one? I mean, who loves stress? I don't. I really don't. You can see the gathers. It's really good, okay? So just try and get this presser foot, all right? It is really good. Now let me show you how to use this in another way, okay? The second way to use this. Now this is the fabric that we want to gather, okay? This is the part of the fabric we want to gather, and this is the project we want to attach it to. Now if you want to create these gathers, you must roll the hem, okay? You have to roll it because when it gathers, it's difficult for you to roll your hem. Now the skirt or the dress will go through this split, this opening on the presser foot, all right? Now the gathering fabric will have to go under the presser foot, all right? Just between the presser foot and the feed dog. So this is the fabric we want to gather. It will go under. We'll bring down our presser foot and hold it on there, and then we'll bring our skirt or the dress that we want to attach the gathers to, and we're going to pass it through the split, the opening in the presser foot, okay? Now if we're putting this fabric, we'll make sure that it gets to the end of that slit, all right? This is because you don't want it to slip out, because as it starts sewing, it might slip away. So you need to hold onto the fabric and guide it while it's sewing. So it's advisable not to speed up, all right? Just take it slow, okay? So we are going to hold it on. You can see that the fabric under is gathering up, okay? So guide that fabric so that it won't slip away from that slit. Once it does, you will think it's actually, you know, sewing together. Believe me, it's not sewing together. And you don't want to go through that stress. Okay, so now let's change our tension. Let's reduce it to maybe something like 9, or increase it actually, and let's see how it goes, so that you will see how it gathers with lower tension and higher tension when you are piecing two fabrics, two materials together. But believe me, it's going to look good. It makes sewing easier, so you don't have to gather the fabric, you know, do the basting stitch, draw it out, then bring your skirt or your dress, sew the edge, you know, start adding, then you go and overlock it. It's a long thing. It's stressful. Just look at this, 2 in 1, okay? Doing 2 things at once for you. Isn't this great? Isn't this good? All you just have to do now is to overlock, you know, the seam. That's all. Okay, you've done your gathers, you've attached it to your skirt or your dress all in one step. Isn't this great? You need to invest in this presser foot because it's giving, it's good, it makes life easy. All right, I love this. Mine is part of my Madam So Ultimate Presser Foot set. It's 32 pieces of presser feet in one pack. I got mine from Amazon. The link is in the description. Now I'm going to show you how to use this gathering foot on an industrial sewing machine. Now here on the industrial sewing machine, we have the two different gathering foot. Okay, we have this one, it's P50. Now this one does only gathering one fabric. Okay, you just attach it and it gathers the fabric. All right, it has this part that it attaches to our needle bar. It has this opening where the needle goes through, just like every other presser foot. Now it has this groove at the back, okay, under the presser foot. This is where the gathers have clearance, okay, to move under the presser foot and over the feed dog. Okay, so this presser foot is good. This other one is P5. All right, now this one has the same groove that gives it clearance, but it has that slit, that opening on the presser foot where the two fabrics can actually pass through. Okay, so this one is the one that you can gather and also attach it to your skirt, your dress, or anything. All right, now here is the good thing. I'm going to be using my quick change attachment to attach this presser foot. If you don't have this, you are in a long thing. Believe me, you're missing. How difficult do you want your life to be? This is a game changer. You need this quick change attachment. I mean, just see the way I just removed my presser foot. Instead of, using my screwdriver and, trying to turn the knots and everything. Invest in these things, okay? They make a difference, believe me. Now, I'm going to just attach my presser foot and I'm going to make sure that this thread passes through it. All right, just look at what I'm doing right now. You see, my thread will go through that opening just the way, it went through the eye of the needle. Okay, there's an opening beside this presser foot, that groove, all right, under it. I just passed my thread right through it. Now, we are going to use the hand wheel to make sure that the needle goes through the presser foot. Always do this. Don't ever skip this part, because if you do, there is a possibility of you hitting the needle on the presser foot. It might injure you, okay? Blindness is real, all right, and of course it might spoil or spoil your feed dog or something. So please don't skip this part. Now we have our fabric that we want to gather, so all I'm going to do is to raise my presser foot, place the fabric under it, and sew. No, we're not going to sew. I'm just kidding. We're going to adjust the length. All right, so now I'm going to take it to the longest stitch length. Okay, I'm going to take it to 8. All right, but then I'm not going to be messing with my tension. All right, my tension is normally at 4. I don't just like messing with my industrial sewing machine tension. All right, you can try it out to see how it works in yours, but I never touch my tension. I just adjust my stitch length and it always gives me what I want. I mean, look at it, you can see what it's doing. It is giving, is already making sense. All right, I love the way this industrial sewing machine gathers. I love the way it works in sync with the presser foot. I mean, check this out. Check this out. This looks good. Okay, so are you seeing this, gathers? Now, another thing is, you can see this one actually looks different. It's because of the fabric width. This one is bigger than the one I used on the domestic sewing machine. So don't think they're different. It looks the same. The domestic sewing machine produces this kind of gathers. Also, you know that I sewed that one in the middle, all right, but this one is at the edge, so just understand that, right? So you can see you need to take it up to the longest stitch or any stitch, but provided it's like longer or higher than the stitch length you use to do your normal straight sewing. Okay, now we're going to try out the other presser foot. Okay, so this is like our skirt or our dress, and this is the fabric that is going to gather. Remember, you need to roll the hem, because once you gather that fabric, it's normally difficult to create your hem, believe me. So now I'm going to remove this one. Oh, thank goodness for quick change attachment. Yes, I have to say it over and over again. Go get one. All right, I'm going to attach this presser foot now. This one is P5. Okay, this is the one that does the 2-in-1 work for us. So now I'm going to make sure that my needle has clearance. Don't skip this part for any reason. Don't, please. Load fan. Okay, so now that I'm sure the needle passes through, I'm going to raise my presser foot and start placing my fabric right under it. Okay, so my thread is already through. Now we're going to place the fabric that is going to gather right under the presser foot, between the presser foot and the feed door. And we're going to now get the fabric that represents our dress, our skirt, that we want to attach the gathers to into that slit. It's just as simple as that. Okay, remember, you make sure that you push this fabric to the end of that opening, to the end of that slit, and you guide it. Never ever remove your hand from it. Never ever assume that it's going to sew on its own and everything is going to stitch together. You will be surprised. You will be stitching only the gathering fabric. Yes, you heard me. I'm speaking from experience. That happened to me several times and I hate it. Yes, because you need to go over it again. I don't like it. So you're being forewarned. Okay, so I'm going to go on and start stitching, and trust me, it's going to look lovely. All right, so take your time to sew here. And if you are one of those people that like marathon stitching, I advise you not to do that marathon stitching here. Yes, you heard me. Once you're a beginner, you're starting out something, you're testing out something new, always take your time. Don't be in a hurry. Where are you running to? I mean, really, are you in a marathon with Usain Bolt? You're not. All right, so just take your time here. You don't want to break needles, you don't want to cause injuries for yourself. Okay, so I'm going to take my time to sew this through, and looking at it, you can see how it's already gathering. All right, now another thing, another trick before I forget, is very important. Whenever you want to use this presser foot, the fabric you're gathering will be twice the length of the fabric that you're attaching it to. Please don't forget this. I forgot to mention it earlier. The fabric you're gathering will be twice the length of the fabric that you're sewing on. As a matter of fact, it can be thrice actually the fabric you want to attach it to. If you have any remainder, if you have any excess, you can cut it off later. Just make it as long as possible. Okay, but the rule of thumb is twice or thrice. All right, the length of the fabric you're attaching it to. Now another thing is, before using any presser foot, any kind of presser foot, always test it out on scrap fabrics, okay, before you even try it on your project. Now you can see these presser foots are awesome. P50 and P5, they are very useful. And we're going to go over to the vintage manual sewing machine, and I will show you how you can attach this presser foot on it and also use it for your project. Here on the vintage manual sewing machine, we're going to be removing the old presser foot and attach this particular presser foot that is meant for low shank sewing machines, meant for computerized, electronic, mechanical sewing machines. Okay, this is the particular one it uses. So now we're going to turn the knob on this presser foot and remove the old presser foot. Okay, the presser foot that is there right now is the straight sewing presser foot. Okay, so I'm turning the knob right there and it will easily fall out. Okay, it will just easily detach itself. So I'm going to carefully keep it aside and continue to remove the knot. Okay, because the knot needs to completely leave that bar before we can attach this one. All right, so let me just try. And now that it's off, I'm going to now place this presser foot right there. Okay, and then I'll use the knot to tighten it again, just to secure it on the sewing machine. Okay, so all we have to do is to just attach it like this. I guess you were thinking we would need any kind of extra tool to attach this foot on this sewing machine. No, we don't. Now I will take my thread right under the presser foot, that's the bobbin thread, and I will take the needle thread and pass through that opening on the presser foot. Okay, both of the threads need to go behind the sewing machine. We can now bring down the presser foot. Okay, using the stitch length adjustment lever, you can just take it to the highest stitch length and get your gathering right. It's that simple. You can also adjust your tension just the way we did with the computerized sewing machine. Place your fabric under here. You can do the 2-in-1, gathering and attaching at the same time. Okay, just follow the same process. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, share your thoughts at the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and I will see you in the next one. Until later, lovelies. Ciao.